The deconversion of Goxster. Hello my friends. 1964, a little town known as the biggest railway city in the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, namely Battenberg. There was no comet, nor a sun or a moon eclipse on the 5th of July to announce my birth. Anyway, in the dark sooty barracks of the railway workers' colony, nobody was really waiting for a new messiah. So there I was, the first son, the first cousin, the first newborn from this generation of my clan. Born into the lowest working class and representing at least the fourth generation of atheists. In this case, atheist is the wrong word because nobody of my elders would know what it means to be atheist, nor most of them could even spell the word. The until today remaining state religion is Catholicism, and every priest is at least happy when the workers from the colony were showing up for the baptism. In the same way, my clan didn't know what atheism is, so they also ignored everything what is involved to be a Catholic. Do like others, do, and you will be treated like others. This is and ever was the cultural Catholicism of my country. Yes, I was baptized, and so was also my 18-month younger brother. Due to the very high pollution in our town, and because we did not have a bathroom, we passed very much time with our grandparents at the countryside. Not that they had a bathroom, but at least a big tub in the barn where we shared, children first, the same water with the whole family. Traditionally, my mother was not allowed by the family to have a work or an income, so the little farm of my father's parents and the huge garden of my mother's parents contributed to our survival. Nobody of us children were aware of our poverty because we had food, and I hold this in my memory as a very happy time. It happened maybe 2 or 3 times a year that one of the other of my grandmothers went to church, because in a cultural Catholic country it is usual custom to bury our dead with the help of a priest. Sometimes I was allowed, or maybe by lack of a babysitter, to accompany her to church. What a beautiful building! Yes, our churches are beautiful. A building from 1840 with art windows, carved altar, and many impressive figurines all around. In the village of my other grandmother, an even older and more beautiful church. We did not have a lot of distraction, and I'm still speaking about my preschooler time. Also, toys were more than rare, but we had our dogs, kitten, chicken, 2 pigs, a cow, and some rabbits to take care of, and we contributed with pleasure to our daily duties. This to tell you how impressed I was to hear the church choir singing, to see the priest dressed in gold, to smell the essences. It changed from the barn smelling. The inconvenient was only that we had to go to church during the week. We had to take a second bath in the barn's tub for the same week, dirty or not. During the yearly church fair, My uncle, as a member of the local volunteer fire brigade, was in his ceremonial uniform, plenty of medals, which have in common with hemorrhoids that every asshole can have them, to carry the canopy over the monstrance carrying priest. This was his only yearly contribution to the religious national culture. So passed 6 beautiful years with a happy child and absolute not harming cultural membership to the Catholic Church. So I'm 6 years old and over is the beautiful time of dolce far niente, the sweet doing nothing at the landside. It's about going to school now. First year, first real contact with religion, and I have absolutely no memory what the state-employed priest was teaching me during the 2 weekly hours of religious education. The same for the second class. Too many new impressions and education is brought to us children. In the first class, alphabetization in the foreign German language, and in the second class already our official national language French is brought to us. Far too much to give a special attention to what is considered as useless by my family. This changed radically when, at my age of 8, my mother inherited the little farm from my grandmother. This farm was at the first view and for many years a poisonous gift, and how we see later, a drama for myself. How could a railway worker who had just enough money to feed his family borrow money to renovate an over 200-year-old house without water or electric supply? My father took a credit from a loan shark in 1970 at 5% of interest, who became during the oil crisis of the 70s quick 13% and brought the family on the edge of existence. And I changed from my little town school to this little village of my grandparents, where we were no more called by our real family name, but by the traditional house name. It was not easy for me to come to this village, to change school and to find new friends. As small as Luxembourg is, I even spoke a different dialect, and cruelty of children, I was much bullied as an alien. Religion? Now I was forced by my parents to go to church. What would the neighbors say if I didn't? How would the village gossip be if I didn't? I went to church and I did it with pleasure. The few new friends I made came from very pious religious families, and my best friend during this time is today a Catholic priest. I made my first communion at age 9, a year later than usual in this village parish, because in my old town the communion was in 3rd class and here in the village in 2nd class. I was a very good student and had no problems with my village priest because of my new devotion to the Catholic faith, so that he asked me to become an altar boy, which I accepted with great pleasure. This involved that I had 2 weeks my church service for a whole week. The service was every morning before school, serving the Mass, every Sunday the early Mass at 7 a.m, the High Mass at 11, at 3 p.m. the Vespers, and at 8 p.m. the Devotion Mass. Nobody else from my whole family found it necessary to go to church because I did well enough to replace the devotion for all of them. Just my younger brother had to do it for 2 years until his first communion, and after turned back to our family's traditional paganism. Me, as altar boy service-free week, I spent it at the church choir. I have received the sacrament of confirmation. It had not have the effect I expected. A child of 5 years or maybe later is curious and wants to learn something. Maybe especially more if those who are supposed to teach you something don't have the answers themselves. The teachings and answers my parents could give me were exhausted very early without satisfying my thirst of knowledge. Teachings and answers of other honorable people were no more satisfying. Not that I knew what a skeptic was, but I was it naturally, and I questioned everything. I did something which made my parents very suspicious. I read books, and my home wasn't comfortable with this. I have no memory having ever seen a book in my home until I brought them. Brought them first from the school library and later spending my whole pocket money by buying them. I liked reading, and until my age of 14 I have read beginning with Enid Blyton, Robert Louis Stevenson, Mark Twain, Daniel Defoe, Tolstoy, Heinrich Böll, Karl Zuckmayer, Friedrich Schiller, Thomas Mann, Mary Shelley, all the must-read classics. And the religion? Altar boy? Catholic? Where was my skepticism for religion? First, I had my own credo. This credo excluded what I couldn't explain, so I never opened my mouth to say or sing with all others that I believed in the Holy Ghost. Yes, I never understood the concept of the Holy Ghost. Father and son were no problem. I knew, or at least expected, the promises that I needed to have my sacrament of confirmation until, like the apostles, the Holy Ghost comes over me and I would have all the wisdom and understanding of the world and answers to all my questions which nobody was able to answer before. I would be able to understand the concept of the Holy Ghost and the meaning of the Trinity when through the smack, pax decum of the bishop, the fire from the sky comes over me, and finally I can share the whole wisdom of the Catholic Church and the human community. It did not happen. Okay, secondly, I was simply good in it. I enjoyed playing the theater before the church public, and I liked singing in the choir. A choir who did also secular concert and later as a singer in the National Operetta Theatre. It's a little jump now, we have to do to the year 1976. After the failure of my confirmation, I wanted to dig deeper. Not without shocking my parents further by reading the 6th, 7th and 8th book of Moses, the Malleus Maleficarium, the Witch Hammer, and everything else what I could get in my hands about white and black magic, metaphysics, trying to find the stone of wisdom, and corresponding with the German Institute of Parapsychology in Freiburg. In history I learned everything about the witch trials and the Inquisition. I became such a specialist that I was invited by many youth clubs all over the country to hold conferences about the subject. The spell and the how-to-do books were followed by me to experiment all possible recipes. In school, I was simply good, without any special effort, so I could spend most of my time to get finally what the confirmation failed to give me. Yes, all of these experiments failed when I approached them with my limited scientific knowledge. So more and more, I was confirmed that all this was only bullshit. And in the same time, absolutely amazed what power this supposed knowledge gave me over other people. I don't want to hide that in the same time, I also learned everything about hypnosis, later about psychology, semantics, and rhetoric. This powerful witchcraft who really works. I was tempted to tell you more about my life because the biography of a person gives always a bigger insight on his motivation and his decisions. But I will resume myself only on the religious part. At my age of 14, I was religion-free. Not yet an atheist or God-free, neither an agnostic. Let me define it more in the sense of an Epicurean agnostic. There might be a God, but this God does not interact with humans. There might be a creator, but like a child he has lost his interest in his toy. During this period of time I had much more an awakening of my political conscience, and this had a good reason. I read Karl Marx, Bakunin, Proudhon, the ideologies of social democracy and so much more. But let's get back to religion. This was it with Christianity. It was only a little period of time during my childhood and adolescence. The next year, until my age of 28, I did not have really the time to investigate more in spiritual researches. During these nearly 13 years, I was much more interested in my very short spare time to read Sartre, Nietzsche, Monroe, Freud, Derrida, Foucault, Heidegger, Kafka, and one of my favorite, Albert Camus. A lot of this time I spent also on the Tao Te Ching and the I Ching. If someone asked me during this time where I would position me religiously, I would have answered I'm a Taoist. And still today I am very much attached to the Tao Te Ching only. Not the rest of bullshit that clever salesmen want to sell as Taoism, neither what the Far Eastern have constructed to make it a religion. If someone is interested in my interpretation of Taoism, I can do it in another video. I have to admit that during a short time I felt back to religion. No, let me call it what it is, a sect. Through a family member, I became a follower of the Japanese sect Sukyo Maikari. It took 3 months to my consecration and 1 month more to tell them to go fuck themselves. The link is below. Today, and now since nearby 20 years, I am absolutely religion free. I lost time after time, more and more superstitions. I changed my vocabulary. I don't use words like God or Jesus anymore. The word belief, I never use it. I replaced it by I'm not sure, or I need more information, or I think it might be possible. This is not possible to change from one day to another, but it required some exercise. Even in my porn collection, I deleted nearly all American video because I don't want to hear someone yelling oh my god" during the most exciting moments in life. This was my deconversion. If you don't have already posted yours, it's about time. Maybe you can do it as a video answer to this video. Thank you and caress you very much. This was Goxster.